Hi, it's Ari and welcome to The Ease of Elegance. Today I'm going to be showing you how I do my brows right now. I've had a couple different ways that I do them in the past, but this is the one that I'm doing. This is the method that I'm using currently, and I like it a lot, so I thought I would share it with you. Hopefully you like it too. And the ingredients, so to speak, that you need to create this look are a brow pencil. Any brow pencil will do, just as long as it's either the shade of your brow or a little bit lighter. You don't want it to be darker than your brow. For your pencil, you'll need a spoolie, of course. And you will also need, if I can get it out of its little container, there we go, a brush, a brow brush. So an angled brow brush, like this one, and you see it's nice and skinny there. So you're going to need one of those. This one is the Anastasia Beverly Hills 12 brush, and I would highly recommend. It's really, really good for this technique, I think. You're also going to need the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Freeze, or if you use soap, if you do the soap brow technique, you can use soap here, or you can also use a brow gel if you don't have this pomade or a soap. You can also use a brow gel. And the last thing that you're going to need is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade in the shade whatever you are. I'm going to be using the shade Blonde because I am blonde. And that's the shade that looks the best on me. A dupe for this one is from Maybelline. It's like the Tattoo Brow Pomade that's waterproof, and I probably just got the name of that totally wrong, but that's another alternative that's really good for this technique also. So let's get into it. Okay, so I know I look really crazy right now because I have only one brow done, but I wanted to show you the difference between like what my natural brows look like with nothing done to them, which is pretty sad and sparse and just is what it is, and like this kind of fluffy brow technique that I did on this side. So we'll do this brow together. Also, please pardon all of the dog toys in the background. I didn't really feel like cleaning them all up, so there they are. And I have a cold, so that's why my voice sounds terrible. So with that out of the way, we can go ahead and start. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is just comb through your brows with a spoolie. And I have my little mirror right here in front of me. And you're just going to brush through them. Nothing too crazy, you just want them to be a little bit better than they naturally are. I'll zoom you in a little bit here so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. Okay. So we're just going to comb through. Get that brow nice and combed out. And then we're going to go in with our brow pencil. So I'm going to be using the Brow Contour Pro from Benefit in the lighter shade. The shade of the pencil itself is light blonde, but I'm going to be using the lighter shade, if I can find it. There's a deeper shade and a lighter shade in this pen thing. So that's the one I'll be using, and we're just going to very lightly fill in the brow, just like you normally would. Nothing crazy, just a normal filling in of the brow. And I like to start kind of like in the middle and work my way out, and then from the middle work my way forward. And I make that line below my brow first, and then I fill in the rest. I just like to have that kind of guide for myself. It's helpful to me. It might not be helpful to you, but it's helpful for me. And we're just going to fill in the entire brow. Nothing fancy yet. The actual technique of this comes in to play a little bit later, but I'm just going to fill in for now. And then once you have that filled in, you're just going to take your spoolie and brush it out. And just try to make sure that that color is evenly distributed throughout the brow, because that's our base. Okay, so now that we have our base happening, we're going to take our, I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Freeze, which is a brow styling wax. You can also use soap here if you're into using like the soap brow technique, or you could use a brow gel if that's all you have. I really highly recommend this stuff though. It's just like a clear pomade, and you just put a little bit on a spoolie, and it keeps your brows really set, which is super nice. So you just take your spoolie and dip it in, nothing too crazy, just a little dip. And then you'll use, oh, where'd it go? There it is, okay. And then you'll use that to just comb up your brows. And basically you're combing them straight up. Like, not entirely straight up, but like pretty close. Okay. And this brow is a little bit better behaved than my other brow is, so this is taking me a lot less time to comb through than it would take with my other brow, which is why I'm showing you this one, because you don't need to just see me meticulously combing for, 5 minutes. Okay, so once we have those hairs going like kind of out and up, we're going to be looking a little bit crazy, and that's okay. So I'm going to continue looking a little bit crazy here while that dries and sets. And a trick to clean your spoolie after using the brow freeze or soap or anything like that is to just put it in a little container of warm water with some like Dawn dish soap, and just kind of like wash it basically and let it air dry. And that works really well. It cleans it nicely without ruining your spoolie, because we don't want to ruin our spoolies. Okay. So once that's done drying, which it's close, it doesn't take super long time to dry, we're going to take out our brow pomade. So this is where the technique comes in a little bit more. We're going to be making individual hair strokes. So I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade in the shade Blonde. And I like this stuff, but to be completely honest with you, I have one from Maybelline that is pretty much just as good. So you don't have to have an expensive product to make this look, is basically the point that I'm making here. I'm using this one because it's a little bit darker than the Maybelline one. So normally I would use the Maybelline, I think it's like the Tattoo Brow Pomade or something along those lines. Usually I would use that one because it's a little bit lighter and it looks a little bit more natural on my brows, but for the sake of being on camera and just having a little bit more of a defined brow at the end of the day, I'm using the Anastasia one, just because it's a little bit darker. And so then we're going to take our angled brush, and I have, this one is the Anastasia Beverly Hills 12 brush, and I can show you here, it's this teeny tiny little dude, and it's really skinny, which is what we want. We want it to be super skinny and small. So we're going to take our pomade and our brush, and you're going to get one side of the brush and the other side of the brush, and then just bump it up against the edge of the container of the pot, just to make sure that you're getting a really fine edge. And with this, we're going to make an individual hair stroke. And I like to start on the outer edge and then work my way in when I'm doing this. So I'm going to get even closer to you because I have to get closer to my mirror. So I like to start on that outer edge and just place a little hair wherever I am seeing some sparseness or wherever there's any gaps. So I'm not sure if you can really see what I'm doing here, but I'm just going to get some more product on my brush. Pretty much every 2 strokes you have to add more product to your brush. Like 2 to 3. I just did 3. So, and the reason that we start out with the pencil instead of starting out just using the pomade and just making individual hair strokes is because we're not using the pomade throughout the entire brow. So we're only using it to put in hairs where there aren't hairs. Like right here, I have this little gap. And I'm just going to fill that little gap in, but I want there to be an even wash of color throughout the entire brow. So that's why I use the pencil first to get that even wash, and then I go back through with this kind of microblading technique just to fill in any sparse areas, which I have a lot of them because my brows are crap. Which is why I use this technique to kind of enhance my brows. I don't like to say hide them because everybody is naturally beautiful and your features are naturally beautiful. And if you choose to use makeup and enhance them, awesome. And if you choose to leave them as they are, that's also awesome. And they're also beautiful. So that's why I say to enhance them, not to cover them up, not to change them, just to add a little extra oomph, if you so choose. And I'm just adding little brush strokes in here. Okay, very close to actually being done. Just because it doesn't really take that long, and I don't do the inner portion of my brow. I just completely ignore it totally. And we're just making little brush strokes anywhere that there's a gap. Okay, so I think that is about done, almost. The finishing touches are to take your brush, and we're going to take the flat side of the brush, so dip it into the pomade and wipe off the excess. And then finishing touches are wherever you see little hairs sticking up, you're just going to coat them lightly with the flat side of the brush with some color, just to give them a little extra definition. And just basically like dyeing your brows, but with pomade. And very, very lightly. And I just go through and get the little tips and help them to stick up a little bit more. And that is about it. So I will zoom you in here so you can see. You can also brush back through if you so desire, just to make sure everything's laying where you want it to, but you don't really have to do that step. So I will just zoom you in here so you can see my brows up close and personal. You're welcome for all of my pores, but you can see that it looks pretty natural. I mean, clearly something has been done to my brows, but it doesn't look like just a block of color on my face. And that is how I do my brows nowadays.